Hey guys, today we're talking about how sound works. Let's get into it. I set up a simple demonstration of how this works. So I've got two music stands with a slinky stretched in between. In the center of the slinky, I've got a little piece of rope tied on there so you can see where the center is. The piece of paper behind there is just to make it a little bit more contrast, a little easier to see. So when I pull the slinky, obviously it goes up and down, it vibrates back and forth, and you can see the center of the slinky stays pretty much right there in the middle of that piece of paper. Now you can also see here is a close-up view, right in the center where that string is. When I pluck the stringy, just like if it was a string on an instrument, it goes straight up and down, vibrates back and forth. As it contacts wind resistance, it gets a little bit slower and moves a little bit less, but it still has the same kind of motion up and down.
So anytime you have a sound, there's a vibration at the beginning of the sound, but it also happens over a space of time. So when we see this next one, I'm going to pluck the slinky again. You'll see it move. I'm going to draw some things out there to show how the center of that line, right where that string is, moves as a function of time.
So this line right here represents the center line, right where that string is going to go up and down. So as we pluck the string, pluck the slinky, it's going to go up and down, move up and down, vibrate. And that dotted line represents time. So time is going to move from left to right just like it does kind of in real life if you think of it like a line. So as the dot, as the center of that string moves across time, is going to trace this pattern I'm drawing out now on the dotted line. So it's actually going to end up making, if you're familiar with math class, it'd be like a sine curve or a cosine curve, just up and down, slight motions. This next part I'm drawing is the wavelength. So I've got a line here where the first peak is, where it starts, and a line right here at the next peak, the highest point of the curve. The distance between there is called the wavelength, as I mentioned earlier, and the frequency is the number of these wavelengths, number of peaks that go through every second. Now let's change the experiment a little bit. I'm going to add a third stand right here in the middle. I'm going to find our new center point of the slinky on the right.
So with the stand in between the long distance of slinky, it cuts the whole distance in half. So now we have two different points. We have the end point that we had before, but now we have a new starting point. And each one of these points, beginning, middle, and end, are called nodes. Nodes are just where there's no sound or no vibration, so all the vibration is choked. So when we put this middle stand here, what we're actually doing is making sure that the vibration, the slinky, is only going to move between the middle stand, which is the new node, and the end node, the second stand on the end. So we're actually cutting the vibrating part of the string in half. So it's no longer going to vibrate the full length, it's only going to vibrate between the middle stand, the node, and the end.
So I'm going to pluck the slinky the same as I did with a full slinky. One interesting thing you can hopefully see is this moving a lot faster. Still vibrating the same way up and down, but it's moving a lot quicker in the vibrations because the distance of the slinky is smaller. Another cool thing is if you look, when I pluck the right side, the left side doesn't really move because we have that node right in the middle that I talked about earlier, that new stand I added. It cuts off all the vibration to the left side, so the right side vibrates, the left side doesn't. So as I pluck this, you can see it's going to follow pretty much the same course as the other string when it was longer. It's just going to be faster because the vibrating part of the string is shorter. So if I draw the same thing I drew before on the other paper, you can see there on the left, here's our path. So it's still going to vibrate right in the center. There's our length of time, the dotted line. But because the string is shorter, because the vibrating part is shorter, the string is actually going to vibrate faster, like I mentioned, so the path is going to be moving quicker across time. So these dotted lines you can see are closer together. The peaks are closer together, the troughs are closer together, because more of them happen in the same amount of time because it's a faster vibration. Here the string is vibrating on the same path, but it's vibrating more quickly, just like we said earlier when we were talking about the full length. Now let's look at the fast frequency versus the slow frequency dropping at the same time.
Now that we've seen how sound starts and how the vibrations happen, let's take a look at the last piece of the puzzle. This is how we actually hear it. So we hear things based off of what's called sympathetic vibrations, which means that our eardrums inside of our ear have to vibrate at the same speed. They have to be sympathetic to the speed of whatever it is we're hearing, the vibrations of that sound. So if they vibrate at different frequencies, different speeds, we won't be able to hear the sound, which is why we can't hear things like dog whistles and whale sounds, things like that are really high or really low frequencies. But as long as our eardrums vibrate at the same speed as whatever the sound is that's hitting them, those vibrations, the frequency, we should be able to hear the sound. So I hope that helped. I hope that answers your questions. I hope that sparked some interest. If you have any other questions about any parts of music theory or music or playing instruments, anything like that, or there's something else you want to see from one of these 5-minute theory lessons, let me know. I'll be glad to do a video on it if I can, and I'll try to help you out. Until next time, see you later.